So you hit the deadlift, which was 460 what?
462.
62 in Melbourne.
Yes.
You had beat your previous record of 61?
No, well,
No.
I mean, even though I pulled 461, because I dropped it, I got disallowed the lift.
Right.
And that's what made me sort of go on and do this deadlift in front of Arnold. And then I think 3 months later, I pulled 463 for a new world record. And this is where the 500 kilo started, where I believed that I could pull 500 kilo off the floor. And that's when I started putting the statements out. So as I say, once I pulled the 463 at the World Deadlift Champs 2015, I went to the promoters and said, I want to pull 500 kilo.
How do you get to 500? But how do you even do that in your mind? What made you think, you know what?
It was that magic number, you know. I mean, when I pulled, in 2015, when I pulled 463, I was, I think, 26 years old, I think. Would that be right? Born 1988. Jeez, my maths isn't that good.
Yeah, probably, you're 31 now, so yeah, 27, 26.
27.
Yeah, okay.
27 years old. And I just thought, you know what? The deadlift world record has gone up 20 kilos in the last sort of 20 years. You know, it's gone up a kilo a year. And I thought, it's never going to get anywhere. And I thought, I could do that. You know, I could do the next 20 years, I could do a kilo a year for the next 20 years. But when does the point come where you're not strong enough to do what you're capable of? And I thought to myself, I'm capable of pulling 500 kilo off the floor, so why would I risk missing doing that opportunity in my lifetime just for money, just for that, you know, doing a world record every year? And I thought to myself, let's up the ante. Let's up the ante. Let's step it up. Let's go for something special. You know, the first man to pull 1,000 pounds is a man called Andy Bolton, and he is a legend in the strength industry. But I wanted to do something even more extraordinary. I want to be the first man to pull half a ton, the first man to pull 1,100 pounds off the floor. And it just became so obsessive, you know. Once I'd said it, that was it. I've committed, people have heard it. And I don't want to be the guy that said something and not backed it up, because to me, that guy is a dickhead. You know, the guy that shoots his mouth and then never delivers, and I don't want to look like a dickhead. I want to be the guy that says something and delivers. So I set off on this journey to pull 500 kilo off the floor. And, you know, I'm 37 kilos away from the world record, which is, I think it was over 8%. It's like Usain Bolt taking nearly a second off the 100 meters. You know, it's pretty special.
But you knew you could do it. Or you told yourself you knew you could do it.
I told myself I could do it. And if I'm being dead honest, you know, I did it for money, but I did it for not a greed reason. I did it for money because I needed money to become the world's strongest man. And I don't think people realize that to be the top pro strongman, how expensive it is. You know, I was spending £300 a week on food. I was doing at least £250 a week on physiotherapy. Another £300 a week on recovery treatments, you know, like cryotherapy and hyperbaric chambers and shockwave treatments. I mean, all in, I was spending £800 a week on my body. And that's and when you say that, it's like, fucking hell. But then when you actually break it down, people don't quite realize what that is. You know, that's not the mortgage, that's not the wife, that's not the cars, that's just me. £800 a week to be a pro strongman. And my savings were quickly running out. And I thought, you know, I saved up enough money to quit my job and sell the door business. And I thought, I'm never going to win the world's strongest man unless I can top my bank balance up and be able to take myself all the way. So it was for money. It was to fuel my career. And that was where the inspiration came from for the 500 kilo deadlift, was I needed the money to take myself to that #1 spot.
Right, which you did, and I want to get to that afterwards. The day of, you got a big crowd in front of you. You know, again, a lot of people would have already seen the footage. What do you remember from that day?
The 500 kilo? Well, when I said it, and obviously, you know, I set off on this year-long journey from 15 to 16, and exactly a year to train for it. And I went off in the gym, and I couldn't get anywhere near it. You know, the most I ever pulled in the gym was 454 kilo. That's the most I'd ever pulled in the gym. So I go on this year-long journey, and I'm in the gym and I'm pulling weights, and every week I'm getting more and more frustrated with myself. And then 6 months in, I'm like, shit, I've made a mistake here. I can't pull 500 kilo off the floor. But I'd surrounded myself with an amazing team of doctors, scientists, blood doctors, psychologists, hypnotherapists, you name it. I had this team around me. And it was a scientist that actually sat me down one day and just explained to me that you're never going to be able to lift that off the floor because the human body is not capable of lifting that off the floor. But there is one way. And he said, and this is what really broke it down for me, you know, a day-to-day person who just takes the kids to school, does the shopping, goes to work, has access to about 50% of their muscle fibers. Somebody who trains 20 hours a week, maybe a little bit more, has access to at most 65 to 70% of their muscle fibers. But then you get a woman who's driving down the motorway in a big accident, the kid's under a car, and they can lift the car off of the kids. She has access to 100% of the muscle fibers. And why is that? It's the fight or flight scenario. And it's just a massive release of hormone, adrenaline. And it's a natural thing. It's been proven. It's a natural thing that people can do extraordinary feats of strength when they're put in a scenario. And it can't be faked. You can't click a finger and release it. It can't be faked. The only way to get it out of you is for someone to get a gun to your head, live or die, pull that weight off the floor. And obviously I can't do that on the day. I can't get someone to put a shotgun to my face and say, pull that 500 kilo.
I'm sure you could maybe call a few people.
So, so that's the scenario I had to create in my head.
Okay.
And with a psychiatrist, with a hypnotherapist, we worked together and we got it to a point where I was able to create a scenario in my head that when I walked up to the 500 kilo, I wasn't lifting 500 kilo off the floor. To put it in retrospect, I was lifting a car off of my kids. And that's the only way I was able to do that lift. I had to train my brain to put myself in this scenario. That wasn't the scenario I got in my head, by the way. I'm just giving you an example.
Okay.
The actual scenario is something that I cannot talk about because it's very dark, very deep, very disturbing. But it's something that triggered me. It's something that after months and months and months of talking about the worst scenario you could possibly be in and creating a pinch point on the back of my hand just before I walk out to the crowd that put my body and mind in this different place. And when I got strapped onto the bar, I get my straps on and I start rocking it back and forth. And just before I lift, I close my eyes, completely shut, they're shut tight, and I just start lifting. And I watch the footage back and it's actually quite scary to see because my eyes open, but I'm not looking at anything. My eyes open, not on purpose, and my eye color changes. And you can see it on camera, my eyes change color. And I pull and pull and pull, and I don't remember doing the lift at all. All I remember is waking up at the top of the lift. And the reason is I wasn't in that arena. I was off on that motorway lifting a car off my kids. It was such a hard thing to do. And it really, to do that, you know, to lift that half a ton off the floor and put your mind elsewhere was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. It really was, mentally, more than physically.
Had you practiced that before that night? Or you
No.
can't really practice it?
No,
Because
you
once you
can't.
practice it, the juice isn't there anymore.
This is the thing. Once you've done it once, it's gone. It's done. You can't do it again. You can only do it once. It's a really tricky thing to do. So like the months of training leading up, I'm doing all these lifts in the gym and I never went above 450, but I'm doing my routine, you know, I'm stamping up and down the gym. I'm hiding in the toilets, pretending that's the toilet in the arena. And then I kick the door off the hinges, come out, stomp into the center of the gym like it was the arena. And I'm ripping onto the bar and I'm attacking it. Everything's exactly the same. I'm doing the same touches. I'm doing everything. And that was all just practice. That was all going through the motions, getting my body through the motions, making sure everything's in line, making sure it touches my shin, making sure the straps are right, making sure the suit's right. But until until I actually got locked onto that bar and I started pulling and my eyes shut, that's when I blacked out. And that's when I just woke up at the top of the lift and sort of looked around and just that pure enjoyment for that split second. And then bam, bar goes down, I go down with it. I was conscious. I remember my only sort of memory is I'm looking down at the ground and I can just see a puddle of blood just forming very quickly. You know, like a good litre of blood on the floor, and it was just pissing out my nose, like unreal, coming out my face. And the guy sit me up, get my shirt off, get my suit off, and then the blood pressure just hits my head, and I go unconscious again. So, and I'm in and out of consciousness, so I'm convulsing. You can see it on the video. I'm in and out of consciousness, and I'm twitching like this, and everyone's just holding me, you know, just like, fucking hell, Ed, calm down. And after about 15, 20 seconds, I come to again, and then someone just whispers in my ear, Ed, just get up and make it look easy. So, of course, I get up and do a little speech to the crowd, and then I get backstage and bam, out again. I'm on a hospital bed, you know, I'm on a trolley. The ECGs are on me, and the paramedics are saying, oh, we can't get the machine to work. And then 2 minutes later, we'll try again. 2 minutes later, oh, it's not working. We'll try again. And you know, by the fifth time when the paramedics are saying they can't get a heart reading, there's something wrong, you know? So they couldn't get my beats per minute was over 200. So my heart was going like this. Super
dangerous.
Super dangerous. Yeah. Blood pressure was unreadable. He said that the blood pressure machine wouldn't even take a reading. It was that high. And I went blind in the middle of my eye. So, you know, when you get you ever had arc eye from welding or anything?
Where it burns out your eye.
So I had like an arc eye. So I couldn't see in the center of my eyes. I had like a dark part. I couldn't see the outside. So everywhere I looked, I was just looking at black spots. And it took me about 3 hours to sort of calm down, get the heart rate down. My vision came back. And, I had blood coming out my tear ducts. I had blood coming out my ears, just little drips. And basically, I just blew my brain.
Your brain was bleeding too.
Yeah, just blew my brain up, basically. All the blood was just coming out of everywhere. It looked like I recovered. 3-4 hours later, I was back out. I was doing meet and greet with the fans. I was signing T-shirts, doing pictures. And then the next day, I got up to drive home, and I forgot how to drive my car. So I had to get my old man to come and drive my car back.
Were you as calm as this when all this is happening?
Yeah, I've got a good grip of life,
But when you can't figure out how to drive a car.
I didn't feel comfortable enough to get in and drive on the right side of the road and use the controls. I had to get someone come and drive my car back. And then the next day was back to reality. It was my son's birthday party and a massive party at my house for my son. And we get home and all the family and friends are there and my kids' friends and whatever. And I can't remember anybody. I'm talking to people and I'm like, and then after I'm saying to the wife, who the fuck is that? Oh, that's your sister-in-law, or that's your nephew, that's your cousin. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm having conversations with people and then walking away, coming back, having the same conversation. I the same symptoms as concussion.
Okay.
For 2 weeks after, I was stuttering, like my speech, I couldn't get words out. So, and I saw specialists, and I didn't go for an MRI in the end, but he said, if this doesn't improve in 2 weeks, you're in trouble. Because basically you burst something in your head, and if it doesn't heal and go back to the way it is, you could be in some big trouble. But it just, every day just got better. 2 weeks, I was fine. But that's actually how dangerous it was. It was super, super dangerous.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd put more weight on. Definitely.
You'd put more weight on. How much more would you put on?
I think I'd like to do 510.
510.
510. I lifted 500 very comfortably.
It was comfortable.
Very, very comfortable.
Watching yourself, you can look at the mechanics and say that's comfortable.
Yeah, I think I lifted 500 very comfortably. I could have done more. My mistake was holding it at the top of the lift and smiling to everybody. And that was the big up yours to all the haters, all the negativity, all the people that said it couldn't be done. That 4 seconds of holding it there was an up yours to them, but it was that 4 seconds that absolutely destroyed me.
Cause all the bleeding in the brain.
If
and
I'd
all
have let
that.
it get, if I'd have been
Okay.
given the down signal and just dropped it, I probably had no problems whatsoever. It was the holding it at the top that messed me up.
And was it hard to hold it at the top? It was a strain.
Really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. I empower any strongman, any bodybuilder, anyone that goes to the gym that trains 20 plus hours a week doing strength training, get 500 kilos on a bar, get it in a rack and just lift it 1 inch and tell me, no one could do it. No one could even lift it an inch. It's a ridiculous amount of weight. Ridiculous.